The stars rippled and tore as 300 Velen warships jumped into hyperspace. One by one, they disappeared, leaving behind only empty darkness. Within minutes, the entire fleet was gone. The only sign they had ever been, there was a fading trace of energy that slowly mixed with the cosmic radiation. On the bridge of the Hansen, Lieutenant Hana watched the last ship vanish. She let out a long breath and felt her shoulders relax. The tension that had been building for hours finally released. "They are gone," she reported. "All 300 ships have left the system." Around her, the crew began to cheer. Officers hugged each other. Some laughed. Some cried. They had faced an invasion force with a single ship, and they had won without firing a single shot. But Captain Taiho did not celebrate. He stood at the window, watching the space where the alien fleet had been. His face was thoughtful, quiet. There was no joy in his eyes. Hana walked over to stand beside him. "Captain, are you all right?" Taiho nodded slowly. "I am fine, Lieutenant. Just thinking." "About what?" "About what comes next." He turned to face her. "Today, we scared an enemy away. But fear does not last forever. The Velen Empire will remember this day. They will talk about it. They will study us. And eventually, they will come back. Maybe not in my lifetime. Maybe not in yours. But someday, they will try again." Hana frowned. "Then why did we let them go? Why not destroy them and make sure they never return?" Taiho looked at her with his calm, dark eyes. "Because destroying them would not end the cycle. It would only make it worse. If we killed 300 ships today, the Velen would send 3,000 tomorrow. Then 30,000. Then more. War creates more war. Violence creates more violence." He walked toward the center of the bridge. The crew had stopped celebrating now. They were listening to their captain. "Today, we showed the Velen something important," Taiho continued. "We showed them that we are strong, but we also showed them that we are not cruel. We gave them a choice, and they made the right one. They will return to their empire with stories of human power, but also human mercy. And that matters?" Junho asked from the weapons station. "It matters more than any battle," Taiho replied. "Because now, when they talk about humans, they will not only talk about our weapons. They will talk about our honor, our restraint, our willingness to let them live." He paused. "And maybe, just maybe, some of them will start to see us as something other than enemies. Maybe some of them will want peace instead of war." The bridge was quiet. Everyone was thinking about the captain's words. Somi, the communications officer, spoke up. "Captain, we are receiving a message from the colony. Governor Park wants to speak with you." Taiho nodded. "Put him through." The screen flickered to life. An older man appeared. He had gray hair and a kind face lined with worry. But when he saw Captain Taiho, the worry faded into relief. "Captain Taiho," the governor said. His voice was shaking with emotion. "I do not know how to thank you. When we saw that fleet, when we heard their demands, we thought it was over. We thought we were all going to die." "You are safe now, Governor," Taiho said gently. "The alien fleet has left. They will not return. I saw what happened. I watched from our observation station." The governor's eyes were wet with tears. "You faced 300 warships with one vessel, and you made them run. How is that possible?" Taiho smiled slightly. "It is not about the ships, Governor. It is about what the ships represent. The Hansen is a symbol. It tells the universe that humanity will not be conquered. We will not be enslaved. We will not be destroyed." His voice grew stronger. "Every scar on our hull is a message. Every battle we have won is a warning. And when our enemies see us, they see all of that. They see our history, our strength, Our determination. The governor nodded slowly. We owe you everything, Captain. The entire colony owes you their lives. You owe me nothing. This is my duty. This is what I was trained for. Taiho looked directly at the screen. But if you want to thank me, Governor, live well, build, grow, create something beautiful on your world. That is the best thanks you can give. The governor wiped his eyes and smiled. I will, Captain. I promise. The screen went dark. Hannah looked at Captain Taiho with new understanding. She had served under him for 15 years, but she had never fully understood him until now. He was not just a warrior who protected people from harm. He was a guardian who protected humanity's soul. Captain, she said quietly, what do we do now? Taiho turned to face his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for his orders, ready to follow him anywhere. Now, we continue, he said. We patrol our borders. We watch the darkness between stars. We wait for the next threat. He paused. And when that threat comes, we face it the same way we face this one. With strength, with courage, and with mercy. He walked to his command chair and sat down. Set course for Sector 7. There are reports of unknown ships near the outer colonies. We should investigate. Yes, Captain, the helm officer replied. Course set. Ready to move on your command. Taiho looked at the stars through the main window. Somewhere out there, Commander Dren and his fleet were traveling home. They were carrying stories of what they had seen. Stories of a human warship that was bigger than anything they had imagined. Stories of a human captain who could have killed them all, but chose not to. Those stories would spread. They would travel from world to world, from species to species. And slowly, the galaxy would learn what humanity truly was. Not conquerors. Not destroyers. Protectors. Engage, Taiho ordered. The Hansen moved forward, its great engines glowing with blue light. It turned away from the colony it had saved and headed toward the next mission. The next challenge. The next opportunity to show the universe what humanity stood for. On the planet below, 50,000 people looked up at the sky. They watched the Hansen disappear into the distance, and they felt something they had not felt in hours. Hope that they were not alone. They were not abandoned. Somewhere out there, in the cold darkness of space, there were warriors watching over them. Warriors who would fight for them. Warriors who would die for them. Humans. And as the Hansen vanished into the stars, Governor Park stood at his window with tears still on his face. He whispered a single word. Thank you. His voice was soft. No one heard it. But somehow, he felt like the universe itself had listened. Far away, on the bridge of the Hansen, Captain Taiho sat in his chair and watched the stars pass by. Lieutenant Hannah stood beside him, silent and strong. The crew worked at their stations, focused and ready. They had won today. But tomorrow would bring new challenges, new enemies, new tests of their strength and their will. They would be ready. They were always ready, because that was what it meant to be human. To protect, to endure, to hope. And never ever to give up. The Hansen flew onward, its hull scarred by 100 battles, its weapons silent but deadly. It was more than a ship. It was a promise that humanity would survive, that humanity would thrive, that no matter what the universe threw at them, they would face it together, and they would win. Always. Commander Dren stood in the center of his bridge, surrounded by his senior officers. They had gathered for an emergency meeting. The air was thick with tension. Everyone was afraid, but no one wanted to say it out loud. We should attack, Gorvin said through the communication screen. He was joining the meeting from his own ship, but his voice was different now. The anger from before was gone. Now he sounded uncertain, hesitant. We cannot let one ship scare us away. What will the Emperor say if we retreat? The Emperor will say nothing if we are all dead, Yenna replied sharply. She had spent the last hour gathering every piece of information she could find about human military power. What she found had destroyed any hope she had for victory. Commander, I must tell you what I have learned. It is worse than I thought. Dren nodded slowly. Speak. Yenna took a deep breath. The humans have 12 Titan-class warships. The Hansen is one of the oldest and smallest. Their newest ships are almost 20 kilometers long. She paused to let that sink in. But that is not the worst part. The worst part is what they have done with those ships. What do you mean? Korath asked. In the last 50 years, the humans have faced 4 major threats. 4 species tried to attack them or invade their space. All 4 species are now extinct. Yenna's voice was quiet but clear. The humans did not just defeat them. They erased them, completely. No survivors. No colonies. No records. Nothing left but dust and silence. The room went cold. Dren felt his heart beating faster. 2 hearts, the mark of his species, and both were filled with fear. That cannot be true, Gorvin said weakly. No species does that. No species is that cruel. The humans do not see it as cruelty, Yenna explained. They see it as protection. When the Hollow attacked them, they killed millions of human civilians, children, families. The humans decided they would never let that happen again. So they developed a policy. Any species that attacks human civilians without warning will be completely destroyed. No exceptions. No mercy. Dren closed his 4 eyes. He thought about the message he had sent to the human colony. Surrender or face consequences. Standard military language. But to the humans, it might mean something different. It might mean a threat to their civilians. What happens if we retreat? Dren asked. Will they chase us? Yenna shook her head. The records suggest no. If an enemy retreats and leaves human space, they are allowed to go. The humans only destroy those who persist. Those who continue attacking. She looked at Dren with serious eyes. Commander, if we leave now, they will let us go. But if we attack, even if we only damage their ship, they will follow us. They will find our worlds. And they will end us. Silence filled the room. Every officer was thinking the same thing. 300 ships against 1. Those were good odds. Under normal circumstances, victory would be certain. But these were not normal circumstances. The humans were not a normal enemy. I received a message from the human captain, Gorvin said suddenly. All eyes turned to him. He spoke to me directly. He told me how long it would take them to destroy our fleet. How long? Dren asked, though he was not sure he wanted to know. 3 minutes. Gorvin's voice cracked. He said it would take 3 minutes to kill all of us. Every ship. Every soldier. Gone in 3 minutes. Someone laughed nervously. It was a young officer near the back of the room. That is impossible. Even with a ship that size, 3 minutes is too fast. He was trying to scare you. Maybe, Gorvin replied. But he was not boasting. He was not angry. He said it like he was reading numbers from a report. Like it was just a fact. Just mathematics. He shook his head. I have faced many enemies, Commander. I know when someone is lying. The human captain was not lying. He believed every word he said. Dren walked to the window again. The Hansen was still there, floating in the darkness. Silent, patient. It had not moved. It had not powered up its weapons. It was just waiting for them to decide. I want opinions, Dren said without turning around. Every officer. Speak freely. What should we do? For a moment, no one spoke. Then Vesa, the communications officer, raised her hand. "I say we retreat," she said. Her voice was firm. "We came here for an easy conquest. This is not easy. This is suicide. There is no honor in dying for nothing." Korath nodded. "I agree. The mission has changed. We do not have the force to take this colony. Retreating is the only logical choice." One by one, the officers gave their opinions. Some argued for attacking, saying that the Velen Empire had never retreated from a battle. But most agreed that leaving was the wiser choice. The numbers were against them. The enemy was too strong. Finally, only Gorvan was left. "Commander Gorvan," Dren said, "you wanted to attack earlier. What is your opinion now?" Gorvan was quiet for a long moment. On the screen, Dren could see him struggling. His pride was fighting against his fear. His duty was fighting against his survival instinct. "I think." Gorvan started, then stopped. He took a breath and tried again. "I think we should retreat." Dren turned around in surprise. "You do?" "Yes." Gorvan's voice was heavy with shame. The human captain was right. Dying here would be stupid. It would be meaningless. Our lives are worth more than one small colony. He lowered his head. "I would rather live as a coward than die as a fool." Dren felt something unexpected in his chest. Respect. Gorvan had been ready to fight. He had been ready to die. But he was strong enough to change his mind. That took a different kind of courage. "You are not a coward, Commander Gorvan," Dren said. "A coward does not admit when he is wrong. A coward does not think about the lives of his crew." He looked at all his officers. "None of you are cowards. You are soldiers who understand that the greatest victory is survival." He walked back to his command chair and sat down. His old bones ached. His tired mind wanted rest. But there was one more thing to do. "Open a channel to the human ship," he ordered. "I will speak to their captain myself." Vesa worked at her station. "Channel open, Commander." The main screen flickered, and Captain Taiho appeared. His face was still calm, still patient. He had been waiting for this moment. "Commander Dren," Taiho said, "have you made your decision?" Dren stood up from his chair. He straightened his uniform. He held his head high. Even in defeat, he would show dignity. "Captain Taiho," he said slowly, "the Velen fleet will withdraw from this system. We will not return. The human colony will not be threatened by us again." Taiho nodded. There was no celebration in his eyes. No mockery. No triumph. Just understanding. "Thank you, Commander," Taiho said. "That is a wise decision. I have respect for leaders who value the lives of their people. And I have respect for warriors who give their enemies a chance," Dren replied. He paused. "May I ask you one question, Captain?" "Of course. Why did you not simply attack us? You have the power. You could have destroyed my fleet without any risk. Why give us the chance to leave?" Taiho's expression softened. For a moment, he looked almost sad. "Because I have killed enough, Commander. I have seen enough death for one lifetime." His voice was quiet but strong. "Every life has value. Even enemy lives. If I can save those lives with words instead of weapons, I will always choose words." Dren nodded slowly. He understood now. The human captain was not just a warrior. He was something more. Something the Velen Empire had forgotten existed. He was a protector. "Goodbye, Captain Taiho," Dren said. "I hope we never meet again." "I hope so too, Commander." Taiho smiled slightly. "Safe travels." The screen went black. Dren looked at his officers. "All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump. We are going home." No one argued. No one complained. They simply obeyed Dot, and as the Velen fleet began to turn away, Commander Dren took one last look at the Hansen. The great ship hung in the darkness, watching them go. Silent, powerful, merciful. He would never forget it. None of them would. On the bridge of the Hansen, Lieutenant Hana watched the alien fleet through the main screen. Her dark eyes moved from ship to ship, counting them, studying them. 300 vessels. It was a large number. For most species, it would be an unbeatable force. But Hannah had served on the Hansen for 15 years. She had seen what this ship could do. She had watched it tear through enemy fleets like fire through paper. 300 ships were nothing. They are holding position, she reported to Captain Taiho. No movement. No weapons charging. Taiho nodded. He stood at the center of the bridge with his hands behind his back. His face showed nothing. No anger, no worry, no excitement. He was like a stone in a river, unmoved by the water flowing around him. Good, he said. They are thinking. That is what we want. Hannah looked at him. She had served under many captains during her career, but Taiho was different from all of them. He never raised his voice. He never showed fear. He never rushed into battle. He always waited. He always gave the enemy a chance to make the right choice. Most of the time, they made the wrong choice. And then the Hansen showed them why that was a mistake. Captain, said another officer, a young man named Junho. He worked at the weapons station. Should I charge the main batteries? Just to be ready? Taiho shook his head. No, keep everything on standby. We do not want to scare them more than necessary. Junho looked confused. But Captain, they came here to attack our colony. They threatened our people. Why are we giving them a chance? Taiho turned to look at the young officer. His dark eyes were calm, but there was something deep in them. Something old. Something sad. Double quotes. Junho. How old are you? Taiho asked. 24, Captain. Then you were born after the Hollow War ended. Taiho walked toward the weapons station. You have never seen what real war looks like. You have never watched the colony burn. You have never heard the screams of dying children across the communication systems. He stopped next to Junho and put a hand on his shoulder. I have. I was there. I saw everything. The bridge went quiet. Everyone was listening. War is not glory, Taiho continued. War is not honor. War is death. It is pain. It is loss. It is holding your friend while they die in your arms and knowing you could not save them. His voice was soft, but every word carried weight. We built ships like the Hansen to protect ourselves. Not to conquer. Not to destroy. To protect. If we can end a conflict without firing a single shot, that is a victory. The best victory. Junho lowered his eyes. I understand, Captain. I am sorry. Taiho gave his shoulder a gentle squeeze. Do not apologize. Your desire to protect our people is good. Just remember that protection does not always mean fighting. Sometimes it means being strong enough that no one wants to fight you. Hannah felt pride in her chest. This was why she followed Captain Taiho. This was why the entire crew would follow him anywhere. He was not just a warrior. He was a leader, a teacher, a protector. Captain, the communications officer called out. Her name was Somi, a woman with short hair and quick hands. I am picking up communications between the alien ships. They are talking to each other. Can you understand them? Taiho asked. Yes, their language is in our database. They are arguing. Somi listened more carefully. Some of them want to attack. They say that one ship cannot defeat 300, no matter how big it is. Others are saying they should retreat. They are pointing out the battle damage on our hull. Taiho smiled slightly. The scars on our ship tell a story. I hoped they would notice. There's more, Somi continued. One of their commanders is saying that we are being arrogant. He says that we are just trying to trick them. He wants to attack and prove that the Velen Empire is not afraid of anything. The smile faded from Taiho's face. Which ship is saying this? Somi checked the readings. The third ship in their formation. A medium-sized warship. The commander's name is Gorvan. Hannah looked at the tactical display. She found the ship Somi was talking about. It was smaller than the flagship, but it was heavily armed. If this Commander Gorvan decided to attack, others might follow him. Should we target that ship specifically? Hannah asked. A warning shot near their hull might make them think again. Taiho shook his head. No. If we fire, even as a warning, we lose the chance for peace. Others will see it as an act of war and join the attack. He thought for a moment. Somi, can you open a channel to that specific ship? I want to talk to Commander Gorvan directly. Yes, Captain. One moment. Somi worked at her station. Channel open. Taiho straightened his uniform and faced the screen. A new alien face appeared. This one was younger than Commander Dren. His gray skin was darker, and his 4 eyes burned with anger. I am Commander Gorvan, the alien said. Are you the human captain who thinks he can scare the Velen Empire with one ship? I am Captain Taiho. Taiho replied calmly. I understand you want to attack us. Gorvan laughed. It was a harsh sound. I do not fear you, human. Your ship is big, yes, but it is still just one ship. We have 300. You cannot destroy us all. You are right, Taiho said. Gorvan looked surprised. What? I cannot destroy all 300 ships. Not instantly. It would take time. Taiho's voice remained steady. Our calculations say that within the first 30 seconds, we would eliminate approximately 40 of your vessels. Within the first minute, that number would rise to 100. Within 2 minutes, 180. By the time 3 minutes have passed, your entire fleet would be gone. Gorvan's 4 eyes went wide. You are lying. I do not lie, Commander Gorvan. I do not need to. Taiho took a step closer to the screen. Let me tell you something about humans. We do not build weapons to look impressive. We build them to work. Every gun on this ship has been tested. Every missile has been calibrated. Every system has been checked and checked again. When we fire, we hit. When we hit, things die. Gorvan said nothing. His anger had faded. Now there was something else in his eyes. Something that looked like doubt. I have a question for you, Commander, Taiho continued. You say you do not fear me. Fine, I believe you. But do you fear death? Do you fear watching your crew burn around you? Do you fear dying in the cold darkness of space? Far from your homeworld? For nothing? For nothing? Gorvan's voice was weak now. Yes, for nothing. Because that is what this battle would give you. Nothing. Even if you somehow hurt us, even if you damage our ship, you will still lose. Every single one of you will die. And for what? A small colony? A piece of pride? Taiho shook his head slowly. That is not courage, Commander. That is stupidity. And you do not look stupid to me. Gorvan's mouth opened and closed. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Go back to your fleet, Taiho said softly. Talk to Commander Dren. Tell him what I told you. And then make your choice. He paused. I hope you make the right one. I would rather let you live. The screen went black. Hannah let out a breath she did not know she was holding. She looked at Captain Taiho with amazement. He had taken an angry commander who wanted to fight and turned him into a man full of doubt. All with words. Just words. Do you think it will work, Captain? She asked. Taiho looked at the alien fleet through the window. His face was thoughtful. I do not know, he admitted. Some people cannot be reached. Some people choose pride over survival. It is the most dangerous kind of stupidity. He turned to Hana. But we have to try. We always have to try. He walked back to his command chair and sat down. His eyes never left the Velen fleet. Continue monitoring their communications, he ordered. Let me know if anything changes. Yes, Captain, Somi replied. The bridge fell quiet again. Everyone watched. Everyone waited. The next move belonged to the aliens. The 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. Commander Dren stood at the window of his flagship, watching the darkness of space. His officers worked silently behind him, checking systems and preparing for battle. But everyone was waiting. Everyone was thinking about what the human had said. Dren told himself that it was nothing. Humans were good at talking. They were good at making threats. But talk could not stop 300 warships. Talk could not save a small colony of 50,000 people. Commander, Korath said suddenly, we are detecting something. Behind the planet's moon. Dren turned around. What is it? Korath stared at his screen. His gray face had become pale. I am not sure, Commander. The readings do not make sense. Show me, Dren ordered. The main screen changed to show a view of the planet's moon. It was a dead rock, covered with craters and dust. Nothing special, but there was something behind it. Something that was slowly moving into view. At first, Dren thought it was another moon. It was huge. Impossibly huge. Dark gray metal reflected the distant sunlight as it drifted forward. Then he saw the shape more clearly, and his 4 eyes went wide. It was a ship. A human warship. That cannot be right, Dren whispered. Check the readings again. I have checked them 3 times, Commander, Korath said. His voice was shaking. The ship is 12 kilometers long. 12 kilometers. Dren's flagship was 1 kilometer long, and it was the largest ship in the Velen fleet. This human vessel was 12 times bigger. It was larger than a small city. It was larger than anything Dren had ever seen. The ship continued to move from behind the moon. It was slow and steady, like a great beast waking from sleep. Its hull was covered with armor plates so thick that Dren could not imagine what weapon could damage them. And along its sides, he could see weapons. Hundreds of weapons. Thousands of weapons. Railguns, missile launchers, energy cannons. Things that Dren did not even recognize. How is this possible? Vesa asked from her station. Her voice was barely a whisper. No one answered. There was no answer to give. Dren looked at his fleet. 300 warships, all pointing their weapons at the planet below. They suddenly looked very small, very weak. Like insects standing before a mountain. The human ship stopped moving. It hung in space, blocking the light of the distant star. Its shadow fell over the Velen fleet like a dark blanket. Commander, Korath said, we are being scanned. The human ship is scanning every vessel in our fleet. Dren felt a cold sweat on his gray skin. Scanning them. The humans were looking at their weapons, their shields, their numbers. They were studying them like a predator studies its prey. Get me more information on that ship, Dren ordered. His voice was rough. I want to know everything. Where did it come from? How did they build it? Why did we not know about it? Korath worked at his station. Searching our records now, Commander. He paused. I found something. The ship is called the Hansen. It is a Titan-class warship. According to human records, it was built 50 years ago. 50 years? Dren could not believe it. They have had this ship for 50 years, and we knew nothing about it? It appears so, Commander. There is more information here. The Hansen has been in active service since its launch. It has fought in several battles. Korath's voice became quieter. Commander, The ship's hull shows damage marks from over 100 different engagements. 100 battles. This ship had fought in 100 battles and was still flying. Still operating. Still deadly. Dren looked at the scars on the Hansen's hull. He could see them now that he knew what to look for. Burns from energy weapons. Dents from missiles. Scratches from railgun rounds. Each mark was a story. Each mark was proof that this ship had faced enemies and destroyed them. What were they fighting? Dren asked quietly. What enemy required a ship like this? No one had an answer. The bridge door opened and another officer entered. Her name was Yenna, and she was in charge of intelligence. Her face was as pale as Korath's. Commander, I have gathered information about human military history, she said. You need to see this. Dren walked to her station. Show me. Yenna put images on her screen. Ships. Strange ships that Dren had never seen before. They were twisted and dark, covered with shapes that made his eyes hurt. These are the Hollow, Yenna explained. A species that attacked human space 80 years ago. They came from outside the galaxy. No one knows where exactly. They destroyed 7 human colonies before the humans could respond. Dren looked at the images. The Hollow ships were large and powerful, much larger than Velen ships. What happened? The humans built the Titan-class warships, Yenna said. The Hansen was one of the first. Within 10 years, the humans had pushed the Hollow back. Within 20 years, the Hollow were completely destroyed. Not defeated. Not pushed away. Destroyed. Every single ship. Every single world. The humans hunted them across the stars and ended them. Dren felt his legs grow weak. He held onto the edge of Yenna's station to steady himself. The humans call it the Hollow War, Yenna continued. They lost millions of people. Entire colonies burned. But they won. And after they won, they did not stop building ships like the Hansen. They built more, bigger, stronger. She looked up at Dren with fear in her eyes. Commander, the Hansen is not their biggest ship. It is not even close. Dren said nothing. He could not speak. His mind was trying to understand what he was hearing, but it was too much. It was too impossible. He walked back to the window and looked at the Hansen. The great ship hung in the darkness, silent and waiting. Its weapons were not powered up. Its shields were not active. It was not preparing to attack. It was just watching them. And somehow, that was worse. A ship that powerful should be attacking. It should be firing its weapons and destroying the Velen fleet. That was what any normal enemy would do. But the humans were not attacking. They were waiting. They were giving the Velen Empire a chance to leave. Why? The answer came to Dren slowly, and it made the cold feeling in his chest spread through his entire body. The humans were not afraid. They had seen enemies like the Velen before. They had faced threats far worse than 300 warships. To them, the Velen fleet was nothing. It was not worth the effort of a battle. It was not worth the energy it would take to destroy them. The humans were being merciful, and that terrified Dren more than anything else. Commander, Vesa said softly, we are receiving another message from the human ship. Dren closed his 4 eyes. He took a deep breath. Then he turned around and faced the main screen. Put it through. Captain Taiho appeared again. He looked exactly the same as before. Calm, steady, unafraid. Commander Dren, Taiho said. Now you see. Do you understand? Dren wanted to say something strong. He wanted to threaten. He wanted to show courage. But when he opened his mouth, no words came out. Taiho nodded slowly, as if he understood. You have 1 hour, Commander. Use it wisely. The screen went black again. And Commander Dren, who had won 100 battles, who had conquered a dozen worlds, who had never known fear in his 60 years of service, felt his hands begin to shake. The stars stretched across the black sky like scattered diamonds. In the cold emptiness of space, 300 warships moved in perfect formation. They belonged to the Velen Empire, a race that had conquered 40 star systems in the last 1,000 years. Their ships were dark blue, shaped like sharp triangles, and covered with weapons that could burn entire cities to ash. Commander Dren stood at the center of his flagship's bridge. He was tall for a Velen, with gray skin that showed his age and 4 eyes that had seen many battles. His uniform was black with golden symbols that told everyone of his rank and his victories. Today would be another victory. He was sure of it. "Status report," Dren said. His voice was calm and cold. "All ships in position, Commander," replied his second officer, a younger Velen named Korath. "The human colony is on the other side of the planet. Population around 50,000. No military vessels detected in the area." Dren let out a small laugh. Humans. He had heard stories about them. A young species that had only discovered space travel 200 years ago. They had spread to a few dozen worlds, building small colonies and trading posts. Nothing impressive. Nothing that could stand against the might of the Velen Empire. "What do we know about their defenses?" Dren asked. Korath looked at his screen. "Very little, Commander. They have some orbital stations. A few patrol ships. Nothing that can match even our smallest warship." "Good." Dren walked to the large window at the front of the bridge. He could see the planet below, a blue and green world that reminded him of the Velen homeworld. It was beautiful. Soon, it would belong to the Empire. "Send the message. Tell them to surrender. They have 1 hour." The communication officer, a female Velen named Vesa, worked at her station. "Message sent, Commander." Dren nodded and waited. He expected the humans to beg. They always did. Every species they had conquered had begged for mercy in the end. Some fought at first, but they all learned the same lesson. The Velen Empire was too strong. Resistance was meaningless. Minutes passed. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft sounds of machines working. Dren watched the planet turn slowly below them. He thought about what he would do after this conquest. Maybe he would retire. He had served the Empire for 60 years. He had earned his rest. "Commander," Vesa said suddenly. Her voice was different now. There was something in it that Dren did not like. "We are receiving a response from the humans." "Put it on the main screen," Dren ordered. The screen flickered to life. A human face appeared. It was a male, with dark hair and dark eyes. His skin was a light brown color, and he wore a simple gray uniform with no decorations. He looked young, but there was something in his eyes that made Dren pause. It was not fear. It was not anger. It was something else. Something that Dren could not name. "This is Captain Taiho of the Human Defense Force," the human said. His voice was steady. "We received your message. I have a response for you." Dren leaned forward. "Speak, human." "I am Commander Dren of the Velen Empire. Your colony is surrounded. You cannot win this fight. Surrender now, and your people will be treated fairly." The human called Taiho smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible, but Dren saw it. And for some reason, it made him uncomfortable. "Commander Dren," Taiho said slowly, "I think there has been a mistake. You believe you are here to conquer us, but you are wrong." Dren's 4 eyes narrowed. "Wrong? Look at my fleet, human. 300 warships. What do you have? A few patrol boats? Some defense stations? You cannot stop us." "I know what you have, Commander," Taiho replied. "My officers have counted every ship in your fleet. We know their sizes, their weapons, their shield strengths. We know everything about you." He paused. The question is, what do you know about us? Something cold moved through Dren's chest. He did not like this conversation. Humans were supposed to be weak. They were supposed to be afraid. But this human showed no fear at all. He spoke like he was the one in control. I know enough, Dren said firmly. I know that your species is young and small. I know that you have no real military power. I know that this colony will fall within hours. Taiho nodded slowly. That is what the last 3 species thought. The ones who tried to invade our worlds. His smile faded. Would you like to know what happened to them? Dren said nothing. Behind him, he could hear his officers whispering to each other. The bridge had grown tense. I will tell you anyway, Taiho continued. They are gone, Commander. All of them. Not conquered. Not enslaved. Gone. We gave them the same chance we are giving you now. They did not listen. He leaned closer to the camera. I hope you are smarter than they were. Threats will not save you, human, Dren said, but his voice was not as strong as before. It is not a threat, Taiho said simply. It is a fact. In exactly 5 minutes, you will see something. When you see it, you will have a choice to make. I suggest you make the right one. The screen went black. Dren stood frozen for a moment. Around him, his officers waited in silence. No one spoke. No one moved. Commander, Korath said quietly. What should we do? Dren straightened his back and forced his voice to be steady. Nothing changes. The humans are trying to scare us with words. It will not work. Prepare all ships for combat. We attack in 1 hour. Yes, Commander, Korath said, but Dren could hear the doubt in his voice. Dren turned back to the window. He looked at the stars, at the planet, and his fleet spread out around him. 300 warships. The pride of the Velen Empire. Nothing could stand against them, but as the minutes passed, Dren could not stop thinking about the human smile. And the cold feeling in his chest grew stronger. Something was coming. He could feel it. Something that would change everything. He just did not know what it was yet.